Hello, everyone. My name is Swire. You can also call me the promo guy. Thank you for tuning in. My guest today is Charity Harderlie. She's an executive coach and an entrepreneur who strives to create a massive positive impact on humanity in the field of personal development and growth mindset. Good morning, Charity.
Good morning, Swire. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. So for the listener who like to find out more about you, can you please give us a quick bio and then tell us about your journey to become an entrepreneur?
Okay, sure. So I am an executive coach, keynote speaker, and published author. And basically, I brainwash people into believing in themselves so that they can live life on their terms and show up powerfully in the world. And my start in this journey of entrepreneurship really began when someone asked me to come and share my story to their women's group. And I hadn't really thought much about being an entrepreneur. I was simply in a public speaking group to build my own confidence. And she said, I have seen all these changes in you over the last few years, several years, and I have heard bits and pieces of your story. And we need to hear how you did that, what you've achieved and how you've done that. And I thought, at first I thought, well, I have these 3 little 7-minute speeches. I'm not sure what you want me to tell. I really didn't even believe in the significance of my own story. But then I was on this place in my personal development journey where I realized, you just say yes to an opportunity and then you figure it out. So I said, okay, sure, I'll be there. How long do you want? You want 7 minutes or 15 minutes? What do you want? She said, we want you for the whole hour. And that kind of freaked me out because I was not aiming to become a public speaker. In fact, I had stage fright. And so again, just saying, okay, sure, I'll do it. Then I recognized that these little speeches that I thought were separate increments, separate topics were part of a whole. And that's when these steps came clear to me that I repeated over and over again. And eventually that, I wrote my book and I've done events and I do executive coaching. So it started with someone recognizing a change in me, a huge drastic change, and then asking me to share my story, which I dismissed. I thought was very insignificant until I started sharing and then hearing the responses of people saying, oh, I needed that. I didn't know that. And here I thought, finally, I'm just like learning what everyone else already knows. But apparently many people, according to the statistics in Forbes magazine, only 15% of people are self-aware. I had no idea of that. I was one of those who was self-aware. So really it started just someone asking me to share the story. And then every step has built upon it from there.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story, and your journey become a executive coach. You actually touched on that, and I wanted to ask you more. You are known as brainwashing people into believing themselves. So why is it important? And then, especially in a business setting, why do they have to believe more of themselves to become successful?
Well, your belief system leads into your thoughts, and then your thoughts lead into your feelings. They create these feelings, this cascade of chemicals in our body, which are our emotions. And those emotions lead to action, either to action or inaction. And then those actions lead to results. So when we look at our results, then it just reinforces our core belief. If our result is, I don't have enough money, or no one listens to me, or I stutter every time I get up to speak and I make a fool of myself, it reinforces our belief that money is hard to make, or that I'm just not a good leader. I'm not cut out for this. And so then we're stuck in this loop that is created within our own body. We're using our own technology, if you will, against us. And so if you do not believe in yourself, the result is going to be, you're not going to move forward on your goals. You're not going to stand in your power and empower others as a leader for good. And you're not going to achieve what you're aiming to accomplish. So beliefs are so important. And if you don't believe in yourself, it's hard for other people to believe in you as well.
How do you brainwash them? Are we really that bad that you need to brainwash us to I guess it's changing the mindset. Maybe they they're fighting you, right? Some people, like, they don't want to change. We are happy with where we are, or we kind of accept that might be our limitation, or we just couldn't do that. So, like, can you give an example how you change them and persuade them and brainwash them to be better self?
Absolutely. And I use brainwash kind of tongue in cheek. It's a funny word and we use it in such a negative tone. But really, the changes that happen when I coach with people are subtle. Like, they don't think, I'm not saying, hey, do this, and then you're going to see this change. It's these subtle changes of shifting their awareness. Because when you see something in a different way, you see a new truth, then your mind cannot go back to that old belief because you see the truth of what it is. And a lot of our belief systems are developed from childhood. We attach meaning to an experience. For example, if someone says, like, oh, girls shouldn't be doing this. Like, my first little entrepreneur gig as an 11-year-old was going door to door selling pizzas because
Mm.
I wanted to make money. And then there were people who would say, well, what are you earning money for? Is it a trip? Is it this or that? I'm like, I don't have money, and I know that there's things I can get and do with it. So, and I didn't really have that vision of why I wanted to earn money. I just knew, hey, I did a fundraiser for the school and I did well. So I called up the pizza place and I said, I want to do a fundraiser. And so I did. But then people would say, well, why are you doing that? Why do you want to earn money? And it just kind of became this shameful thing of wanting to earn money or wanting to do something different, wanting to bring a solution, like, here's dinner for you. Let me help you. And so I attached a meaning to that, like, oh, it's wrong for girls to be in business, or it's not okay for you to desire to have money. You should just be grateful for what you have and not want more. So those beliefs in my own life translated into me not taking action on these goals and desires that I had, these dreams that I had. And so why is that important? Because you will be stuck where you are unless you shift those beliefs. And so I come in and help you shift those beliefs through coaching. And sometimes it's asking the right questions. Sometimes it's, here's this exercise, and working through that will give you that clarity. There's lots of tools and lots of ways that you can do that. But basically, it's shifting that perspective so they can achieve a new result.
I agree 100%. Sometimes it just takes another person or someone who has observed you for what you are doing for a little bit. Give you a quick example. My daughter, who also happens to be 11, she plays soccer. So sometimes you get opponent team that are larger than her, sometimes it's faster than her, and then she kind of froze and not going after the ball. But then I told her, it's all about your mindset. You're still who you are, the level that you're playing. If you're more positive, if you go aggressive to the ball, then there are a chance that you might get the ball. But if you just stand there and not motivate yourself, then definitely you're not getting the ball. Same thing can translate to anything that we do. Maybe you walk into a networking meeting, right? And you don't feel good about yourself. You just hide in the corner and not talk to anyone. Compared to, maybe you make small talk with one person and then another person, and then you open up and then you become a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. I think what you said to your daughter is one of the keys. Sometimes we identify as our mistakes. For example, I have this client she was really struggling with her self-esteem. She was also very fiery and not in a good way. It translated into, she was a very angry person and she knew that. And anytime she would try to move forward and make changes to be able to connect with her family and to connect at work, she would just say, well, I'm just an angry person. And when you identify as the angry person or as the trauma or as the depressed person or as the incapable, the person who made mistakes, when that becomes your identity, then you become stuck because your identity has gravity. So believing in yourself and changing that identity of how you perceive you are is powerful as well, because you're not your mistakes. And you can always do something. You always have a choice to do something about it. Like you said to your daughter, be more aggressive. You can choose to do that. You don't sit there and say, well, I'm just not good at soccer. You can do something different when you change that belief and that identity.
I think it's good too if you recognize there's a problem. That's actually a plus. If you don't know what's wrong with you, if you think you're perfect, but then you aren't doing a good job, those are even bigger problem, I think. If you notice you have certain problem, then at least you can work on it. You could put it down. Maybe it's a big problem that you can fix in one day, then break them into smaller tasks. Then you could work on things every day and go running, go do whatever, read a book about, who you want to be. But let me ask you this question. Let's say we know that we have to believe in ourselves, but it's so overwhelming. I'm afraid. I didn't want to do it. No time. So how would you coach them to overcome themselves so that they could get to the next level?
That is a great question. So, for an example, if you believe that you are not, well, look at your results, right? And what you said, the awareness is key. And a lot of people are not self aware. So, sometimes in coaching, it is getting them to the point where they're self aware of what is going on so they can overcome that. So, when they are aware of what's going on, take the example of your daughter. Like, oh, I failed. I made mistakes here in soccer. She's feeling frustrated. She might, and this isn't true for your daughter, like you might have a belief that you're not good enough or you can't make money. So recognizing what your thoughts are saying, because those are, that's what is coming out from your beliefs. You'll have these thoughts like, well, I can't make money, or these people aren't going to listen to me anyway. What good is it going to do to come and try to train them? They're not going to listen to me. Well, that tells you maybe I don't believe that I have the skill set. And then you can start asking yourself questions like, well, is it true? Do I completely lack the skill set? No. Do I know enough? Like, have I learned enough to be where I am that I could teach something? Well, yeah, absolutely. You have something you can teach. So it's asking the right questions and recognizing that these beliefs, if they're not true, they're going to cause discomfort. And so if I'm having discomfort about a situation, there's thoughts behind that, which are related to my beliefs, which are telling me, oh, you're not good enough. You can't do it, because I have a belief that I'm not good enough. So asking those questions and reframing it, that's just one like of the simple ways that you probably hear a million times, like asking the right questions, because the answer is in the question. If I'm asking, what if I fail? Then this technology right here is going to look for evidence of why and how I will fail, and it'll bring up memories in the past of when I failed. But if instead I'm asking, what if I succeed? What if I am good enough? Then you're going to find those answers. Your brain will look for those answers because you're tuning in to what you want rather than what you don't want. And most people know what they don't want, and that's what they get. And they don't really have that clarity on what they do want. So clarity is another piece of coaching that helps you wade through the fog to figure out what you do want, and then the pathway to get there.
That's nice. How much do you think is based on personality? Because while you're talking, I thought about my own experience. When I was a lot younger, right? People told me that you can't do that. It's too risky. It's too dangerous. I'm like my personality is, really, I can't do it, and I did it. When I, like, good and bad. I went and go ahead and did it. But then there are certain personality that say, okay, really, maybe I shouldn't even try it. People think it's not possible. Maybe the industry right now, whatever industry that you're in, it's not available. It's just too hard to do. So I think that's where people stop and didn't go to the next level. But then later on, a few years, you read someone that really have done what you're trying to do, and then they now become really successful and become the leader in the industry. So you missed out. So it's like, how would you coach them to really go ahead, and when would you suggest it that maybe you should plan a little bit more before moving forward?
That, Swire, is an excellent question, because so often people, that personality plays into identity. If my identity is, well, I just don't take risks, and therefore I don't do that, you will not do it. There is a book, and I'm trying to remember the name, who I think is Ben Hardy. Don't quote me on the author, but it is called Personality Isn't Permanent. And it is all about the fact that your personality is not permanent. It changes, it's ever changing. And you can change it simply by setting goals and moving towards them and doing the things that make you uncomfortable. You can expand your comfort zone. I had social anxiety. I had stage fright, and yet I've been on the TEDx stage. I've been a keynote speaker several times. And so my personality would have locked me into the fact that I can never be a public speaker. I could never be on video with Swire because I am too nervous about what those type of beliefs. But your personality can change. And, as humans, we always want to categorize things. And so we love taking personality tests, right? You see them all the time online. Take a personality test. Oh, well, I am outgoing, or I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm this, I'm that. And yet you can, and then we believe that and say, well, according to that, this is the type of person I am. So, I'm going to cross this off my list. I'm going to say no to that opportunity that is right in front of me, saying, come on, this opportunity is presenting it to you. But we say no because we think, well, I'm not the type of person who would do that. So recognizing, first of all, that your personality isn't permanent, just like the title of that book, and can change. It does not define who you are or what you're capable of. Sure, it tells you tendencies you may have had. It exposes some of the experience that has shaped you into who you are, but it can change. So just recognizing that you can change and therefore change your future is the number one key. Just recognize that you may say, well, I'm just an angry person, or I'm just really have made tons of mistakes in my business and I'm ready to quit. But look at all that you've learned and look at what you can do with what you've learned to move forward. Personality is not permanent. So just recognize that. That is key. This is such a great question, Swire.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes we just feel lazy. It's just not me, not going to do it, moving on because it's, not my color, it's not our type of project that we do. So wanted to ask you, this, we've been talking about, having a good mindset. So what would be the path, or are there exercise, or are there any, things that we should work on if we wanted to develop a more positive mindset? Especially we got stuck right now about 9 months now at home, and things change it every day. And it seems like, 2020, we just want to write it off completely.
Yeah.
How would you, motivate people to have a positive mindset?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. One of them, first of all, just the most simple thing you can do is deep breathing. Deep breathing gets your brain out of the fight or flight response mode, which so many people are in right now. And, people are at arms, right? They want to fight, they want to be right. But when you take deep breaths, it gets you out of that spin cycle of doom, of frustration, and it calms your nervous system. And deep breathing is a proven technology used by Navy SEALs. So if Navy SEALs can use it to calm and have a clear mind to make decisions that are life or death decisions, why are we not tapping into deep breathing to calm our systems? And you can just go look up the benefits of deep breathing and you will be mind blown. So tie that simple exercise to something you do every day. Use the restroom every day. Think, okay, every time I use the restroom, I'm going to do deep breathing to calm my system. Another thing you can do is write down all the garbage, all the stuff that's in your head, because a lot of times we are just trying to ignore these painful things, ignore the things that's just. So here's an example. You're sleeping at night and you feel like there's a bright light, right? And it's just blaring. You're just like, oh, I can't sleep. What is that? And you turn to look at it and it's a tiny little light from your electronics, but it feels bigger when you're not focused on it, when it's on your peripheral. And so all these thoughts and feelings of, this frustration, this fear that we are pushing away and we don't want to acknowledge because it's painful, right? It's painful to acknowledge what we're really thinking, what we're going through. When it's here in the peripheral of our mind, it feels bigger. And we just feel the presence, we feel the pressure, and it seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you simply do a brain dump, and you've probably heard this is, something very simple, a brain dump, just jot down, just get it all out of your head. And then you can see like that light, like when you turn your focus to it, oh, it's not as big as I thought it was. And now that it's concrete, it's on paper, I can see what I can do about it. I can see that, okay, there's 10 things I really don't need to worry about, but I was feeling them because it's a thought I had and it just stays there. But clearing your mind in that way is another powerful way. And if you want to, you can go to my link tree. You probably have that linked. There's 3 secret tips for leveling up your mindset if you want more. And I've got tons of stuff, but those are a couple tips right there. And you can download that to get some more tips to help you level up your mindset. You know, it has been rough. This year has been rough for everyone, but it's the way we think about it, the way we're perceiving things, that we can either react or we can choose to respond. We still have the power to choose.
Yeah, 100% agreed on the deep breathing. Share one more example from personal experience. I do yoga, so I do hot yoga, which normally it's very intense for the body and the mind already. So I walk into class one day, having a particular bad day, couldn't remember what it was already. So I was having a grudge. I couldn't really hold any pose. I was angry, and the teacher saw it. But then as we go on, my body gets tired physically, and then we were laying down and resting. She just said, like you did, focus on the breathing. Focus on breathing. I was sweating all around, and then I'm staring, really angry. She said, just let go. Right now, none of your problem doesn't matter. You're here. Your body is moving. Just focus on the breathing. If I tell you right now that I could refill your water with ice, how would you feel? That'll be lovely. So even that mindset change, instead of focusing on whatever problem that I've had before, by relaxing, by focusing on something else, then I solve my own problem. I don't even remember what the problem was after class. So it's just a little bit of shift. It's all it takes, like you said with the light. So use a tape to cover it, use an eye mask, then, it changed a lot of things. So maybe it's just something that in your world or in your business that you're not happy about. If this is something small that you can do, change it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when you're running a team, an example would be, you give instructions. Okay. I gave instructions to one of my team members, and there were 3 times where I'm like, okay, no, this is what I'm asking. This is what I'm expecting here. And I can go to that person and just be completely frustrated. Like, why didn't you listen to me? It's clearly laid out, blah, 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 blah. And I can react to what's going on. But the truth is, I'm frustrated because of my thoughts, because I'm thinking, well, why isn't she, how come she can't catch on? Why isn't she, blah, 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 blah. This is going to delay this project and so on. But the key to mindset and leadership really is self-leadership. I've got to lead myself through this as a leader. I've got to say, okay, I'm frustrated, but if she's not getting it, obviously I did not communicate this clearly enough because she's not getting it. How can I lay this out more clearly for her? How can I, what might be preventing her from understanding this? Maybe there's stuff going on in her life where she's just really struggling to focus. Then I could shift into an energy of empathy and connection for that team member. And then I can lead her along with me in a powerful way, rather than in a way where I am just beating down on her saying, it's your fault. Now we're delayed. So leadership and mindset come into play very strongly. But we've got to lead ourselves through this. And sometimes it takes a coach. Often it takes someone coaching you or mentoring you through these hiccups and through these things that derail us so easily, so that we can understand how to respond and then how to train our team to respond as well, so that we can work together and move forward rather than create division and frustration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very good advice. So any last tips, so we are at the end of 2020. Uh, how would you suggest that we plan and ready ourselves for a better 2021?
One thing I've recognized with my clients is, and I've done this myself, and probably is why I can easily recognize it. Often when we set our goals and our plans for the year, sometimes we are setting projects. And if you think of your day-to-day to-do list, sometimes I will have 3 projects listed instead of all the little steps that lead up to that, right? So I might think, oh, this project, okay, I should be able to get this done in 20 minutes. But it's going to take me 5 steps to get to the point where I can complete the project, because I had to do some research and I had to reach out, gather some more tools and that type of thing. So I think be very clear on your projects and your expectations and break it down. If there's something in the way of achieving that goal, you need to break it down even more. Like, what is the most simple step that you can take today? Make it so simple that you can't not do it, And so that would be, just break it down. So for example, if your goal is to exercise every day, instead of, okay, I'm going to exercise, like, okay, well, do I have the right attire that I'm going to exercise in, or is that going to become an excuse? Well, I forgot to get running shoes. Well, then maybe that's the first thing that needs to go on my list is get those running shoes, so that then I can move forward on those steps and then make it happen each day.
I think we're creatures of habits. So, if you bring it into a habit and maybe there's something that you really want to work on, like you said, write them down. So maybe there's something that you are making excuse every day to do. Write them down and make it a habit. If it's something small, then do them every day. If it's something that you really want to work on, do them every day. Then it becomes your habit. If you don't want to run, go run 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then, to whatever goal that you're trying to do, don't give yourself excuse. And, like Nike said, just do it.
I love it. Yeah, just do it. And you know what? Maybe you feel obligated to put running on your list because you feel like, well, that's what healthy people do. Well, maybe you hate running. Maybe you actually love to go dance, go do Zumba, or go play, right now it's hard to do team sports with the state of things, but sign up for classes that you enjoy so that you're more likely to do them. Set yourself up for success rather than creating those goals that you feel obligated to create because other people do it, right? Be clear on your goals and then clearly write them out.
Yeah, and I think for professionally, it goes like, for example, a lot of people are afraid of public speaking. Now is actually a good chance. You do a Zoom meeting or do an interview online. So all we're doing, I'm looking at my camera, I'm speaking to it. There's nothing really, there's no audience right now. There's no, if I really fail, then, that's it. If in a Zoom meeting, maybe those few people, but you can really work on your skills, when the time comes where you could present at a meeting with your client, or when you try to impress a lot of people on public speaking, then the skill will come through. Or you don't like to write, maybe write a little something, maybe a social media post every day, really short, and then slowly add on to it. That's been my personal goal, is to write something, get better, and then hopefully eventually then I can write something very meaningful in a longer paragraph, or even a book.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like, oh, there you go. You're back. I love that, Swire. I love what you're doing, how you're just like, okay, here's something I want to learn how to do. And you're doing the steps every day. You're just taking a small step to write a post so that it can build your skill. And I think that's so important. I think a lot of times we want to take the flying leap to the next level right now, but it really does take a step, writing every day or showing up every day as if you are doing, and doing that work so that you can lead up to the next step. It really is just small steps rather than that flying giant leap to the next level.
Yeah, because people always think that they need to take on a big problem in a big way, but then you can always, I think I want to say it's Winnie the Pooh said it, he likes to make big problem a smaller problem, and then he works on it. So maybe, you can break a big problem into 10 pieces. Then it will be a lot easier than to solve a small 10 pieces of a big problem than, tackle it all at once.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me, and I know we're about to wrap up. A client of mine had these things in his business where he felt like just completely overwhelmed because there were all these things, spinning loosely that he felt like I needed to take care of them right now. And so then in stepping back and breaking it down, it's like, well, what is the most urgent thing right now that you need to work on that would make the most difference? And then in just starting there, a lot of those problems resolved. because
Mhm.
the core of the problem that's going to make the most difference often will lead you to the next step. So don't worry so much about getting all the steps right now. Just focus on something that will make the most impact right now, and it will naturally lead you to the next level.
Right. So, Charity, if any viewer want to reach out to you to find out more, about your services, how would they reach out to you?
Simply go to Linktree, linktr.ee/Charity Harderlie, and you'll see a menu of options. You can check out my book, you can hire me to work with you, you can check out my blog and other things that I'm doing. So just check the Linktree, and also on the Linktree, you can download your free 3 secrets to leveling up your mindset so that you can get started and build upon the skills that you have and empower your own mindset, and therefore show up more powerfully in the world.
I'll definitely include that link in the show notes here. And Charity, thank you so much for coming on today. And hopefully we all can have a better 2021.
Yeah, thank you, Sawyer. I appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.